I'm Tom King, and I'm the founder of Toolkit.law. We're with our webinars director and also family law attorney Gigi Khan, who practices in Pakistan. And we're joined by Mike Fonseca, the national marketing manager for Soberlink. And our topic today is on alcohol consumption and testing, and specifically Soberlink. Mike, you and I have known each other, I think maybe for 8 years now, 7 years now. Can you briefly describe what Soberlink is, because it is a unique company on planet Earth?
Yeah, thanks, Tom, for having me. So Soberlink is a healthcare company, and we do remote alcohol monitoring for different markets. The one in family law is very near and dear to me as a parent, but so we are able to monitor for alcohol abstinence either just during their parenting time or for full abstinence, depending on the use case and the uniqueness of the custody agreement that's at hand. We also do some different types of monitoring. We do licensed professional monitoring. Doctors, lawyers, nurses use us. And we do business with 11 major airlines for their pilots that have misuse issues with alcohol. And we're also in the continued care space, which is a new term for rehabilitation. So if you've heard of Hazelton, Betty Ford's, Karen's of the world, we're the gold standard for alcohol monitoring.
Absolutely. And in fact, on toolkit.law, many of you know that we have a tool called Improver, in which it deals with improving different parts of your life, including if you have problems with alcohol. And we offer SoberLink as a professional there for alcohol management. And it's something that you should explore. So let's go ahead. You put together some materials for us, Mike, and I'd really like to share these. We've added them to the back end of our alcohol consumption and testing help sheet. And I'd really like to just focus just on your material. So when we talk about SoberLink, I guess the first thing is you are about detection, correct?
Correct. Specific to alcohol.
Okay. And it is a device that is traditionally installed in a vehicle, or has it broadened beyond that now?
Yeah, so it's a true handheld remote device. And a lot of the hardwired products that were used in the past that were made to disable a vehicle, for example, those are days of the past. Someone who now is agreed or ordered to abstain from alcohol, they would test 3 to 4 times around their sleep time. And it's real-time notifications. So we're able to capture a 4-second deep lung sample. It takes a photograph with the embedded camera. We do 100% of the facial recognition, and then we send real-time compliance emails or text messages wherever they need to go.
And if I recall, when you and I spoke last, COVID had a big impact on SoberLink, right?
It did. It did. And I think everybody had a shift in how we were marketing, but more importantly, yeah, I think there was a huge increase in consumption for a short amount of time, and I think we're still feeling some of the lingering effects of that.
And it changed your business model, right? Because it forced you to rethink your whole supply chain. Is that what drove you from an automobile embedded device to a handheld?
Well, no, we were never a hardwired product, so
Oh, okay.
we were in competition when we were doing criminal monitoring with those other devices that are out there,
Okay.
and we've always been a newer technology. So we like to say we were helping with behavioral change and helping with accountability monitoring versus a hardwired product, which is really something to keep a car sober, for example. We're actually keeping the individual sober with real-time alcohol abstinence monitoring.
Keeping the individual sober instead of the vehicle. That's very funny. I'm sure you've never used that line before. Okay.
Never.
Never. So when we talk about SoberLink, is it a cellular product or does it connect to your cell phone?
We have two devices. So last fall, we introduced our cellular 2 device. So it has an embedded cellular modem and it transmits all in one. So it has the camera, it has a cell phone, and it works on UTC time. This device actually stores tests, so it stores up to 65 tests. So this device is very unique in when I educate attorneys on how its best methodology is for deployment, is this device really is only used for someone that might potentially go off grid if a parent is allowed to say go deer hunting where there's no cell connectivity or no Wi-Fi. They can actually use this device, test at the times you're supposed to be actually testing. And once they get back into connectivity, a report will download timestamp to the actual times they submitted their tests. Again, it's a very rare, unique case, but it's also very important for international use. This device gets deployed for clients that need to go to Europe or Asia or wherever it is. It just operates off UTC time for testing. The other device,
Or I
go ahead.
guess if you're taking children on an international vacation and you're
Sure.
with the children, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. There were some connectivity issues in the past. I have a feeling now that most places have Wi-Fi, like cruise ships. Most airlines have working Wi-Fi, and I travel a lot. I would say Wi-Fi is successful in transmitting everything. 90% of the time, you still get those occasional flights where it's not 100% bulletproof and working, but I would say 90% or just over 90% is always working. Where our Connect device, which operates off of a person's smartphone, which does the transmission for them, which is the most commonly used product in family law. It's less expensive, it's smaller, and most people over the age of 12 have a smartphone now, so there's just easy connectivity, and we're on Android and also iOS platforms.
So Gigi, obviously you're in a different jurisdiction. You're in Pakistan, different culture, 99.9% Muslim. That number may be low, that estimate at 99.9. Do you really have alcohol monitoring issues in family law cases, Gigi?
No, to be honest, in family law cases, they don't usually monitor for alcohol consumption. So it's usually a criminal issue compare because, as you know, Pakistan being a Muslim dominant state, right? So with the Sharia law there and it's applicable, it's illegal to have alcohol, drink alcohol, sell alcohol. So yeah, it's not widely discussed in cases. No.
But in criminal cases, have they even heard of a device like this?
Yes, they have heard devices, but maybe not per se. I don't think I can take a brand name, but they are aware of devices that can, yes, test the alcohol level in your body.
Interesting. Let's go ahead and let's go back to your materials. So I guess let's talk about the benefits briefly, Mike.
Sure. So really, it's the benefits are to be able to discreetly provide good faith in abstinence monitoring. Nobody needs to know that they're being monitored, not the children. You're able to literally wake up our device, submit your test in less than a minute and transmit, and then just go on to being a parent and doing what you're supposed to be doing with your kids. So, and it's also unique that we're starting to get used in preemptive monitoring when a client starts to meet with their attorney and they discuss the potential accusations, whether it's truly a
Oh,
problem or if it's just hearsay and being accused of being a problem during the battle of the divorce, where we can actually prove that someone doesn't have a problem with alcohol at the same time. So it's a great tool for preemptive monitoring.
now I know none of my clients lie, but I'll bet all of Gigi's clients lie all the time. What, how many
Oh,
times have we asked our clients to go take an anonymous drug test for the same reasons, Mike, right?
Exactly, exactly.
Okay. So
And
we're
the other
doing,
things that are differentiators is
yeah.
we manufacture in the United States. We're an FDA cleared medical device. We actually provide certified records, and we have a compliance department that's used to speaking to not only law professionals, but clients that are in their most vulnerable state. So we're able to help them navigate the
Yeah.
most challenging accusations, provide court admissible documents, and testify if needed.
So let's go ahead and so we can see what some of the testimonials are about it being monitoring. The facial recognition, I think, is so important. Let's go ahead and talk about your materials split this up into a two-page opening. So
Mhm.
I didn't know how to combine it into one page, but let's talk about it in US pricing. What does it look like for someone to engage this platform?
So in the US, a large percentage of our monitoring is only during their parenting time. So our level one, which is parenting time only monitoring, we allow for up to 20 testing days per month. As many tests are required in 20 testing days, but this is really over 50% of their parenting or visitation time. Most people fall under real-time notifications. They're agreeing to submit a test and have the notifications go to the opposing party in real time. But we offer three different categories within these levels. Most people fall into our plus, which is real-time email notification, or premium, which is email and text. The basic price point that you see in our levels is typically used for preemptive monitoring. So it's for when you're testing and you have the data go to your attorney before you actually agree to the terms of usage for custody, but you're gathering data to be able to prove to the courts that you don't have a problem with alcohol. So we provide a next day consolidated report of the previous day's testing.
Let's go ahead and go to the next screen. So some of the facts that I thought was pretty interesting. Why don't you review some of these for us?
Sure. So if you weren't aware, 10% of children, they live with a parent who misuses alcohol on a regular basis. This roughly affects 15.1 million adults that have a misuse disorder. In the United States, it affects roughly 55,000 custody cases every year. So it's, you know, a lot of folks agree to the term of usage. It's recommended, for example, to use it for a year. This is the allotted time that it takes the opposing side to start to regain trust back. And once you've documented compliance for that term, they graduate off of it and hopefully everything is good. But what it does is it shines a light where someone might agree to use it for a year and they can't get through the first weekend without consuming. So it shines a light on a potential problem that a person might not know they really had. They thought they could abstain for their parenting time and they really can't. So it just hopefully lets them be aware of the addiction being bigger than what they thought it was. The other
Absolutely.
side of it is too is it really is a viable, usable product that is accepted in all courts. There's starting to be, for example, some consumer grade products that are, I would say, cheap, low cost competitors that people are agreeing to use in the marketplace. And once they use them and try to actually have legal documentation or have testimony to the products, they're 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 invalid or they could be discredited by opposing party for chain of custody purposes. So I think professionals need to be made aware to make sure they're educated, offering the right tools for their clients.
So when people come to your website, what are some of the resources you would point out?
You know, I would always ask, the clients is one thing. They're kind of want to know what the device entails, how often they need to use it, how much it costs, for example, which the out-of-pocket cost is the hardware. And coming soon this summer, we're just going to start a rental program. So it'll just be an additional $19 a month added to the monthly subscription instead of a one lump sum fee of roughly $300 for the hardware. But they're really wanting to know, is it viable? How to use it? And where the data is going to go in real time. As a professional, you want to know, is it viable? Is it credible? Is it reliable? And you want to make sure that the data is who it is. Like I mentioned, we do facial recognition. We ensure that it's the actual person that's supposed to be sending the test in real time. And we do the facial recognition. A lot of the products that are out there that are claiming they're like us for a lesser price, it uses a person's smartphone to capture video or a photograph of the person. And these devices are not encrypted. So someone could be literally having two devices, taking a photo or video of themselves in their smartphone when it's really a dummy device and someone is in Bluetooth range submitting a test for them. So these devices are easily discredited by any adversary.
And of course, that would obviously be counterproductive.
It's the purpose why we're in business. So it's there's a reason why we do business with 11 major airlines because it's such an important product. People's lives are at stake, their jobs are at stake, and obviously the most precious things is people's children.
So I'm going to ask you something I didn't prepare you for. What is what are some of the stories you've heard of maybe an unusual use or how it saves someone's life or just what are one or two of the stories? I think you've been with them for over a decade. Um, what, how can you think of a way that a story that might really shed light to a legal professional as to how to utilize this and how important it is?
Sure. So the goal is obviously helping people through the most challenging time of their lives, whether it's addiction to alcohol or alcohol misuse. And the goal is ultimately the child safety case in family law. The things that I've had brought up is, they didn't know that they had a problem, that they thought they could abstain from alcohol use, and they couldn't go through their first parenting weekend with the child,
Mm.
started testing positive, and they create these excuses, and we'll create a list of documentation of why it was a consumption event, and we'll prove that it was consumption versus mouth alcohol, which is a common excuse when someone tests positive. We have great retesting measures to negate false positive testing. But the biggest thing is, at the beginning, they might not like us because we're holding them accountable. And over time, once they realize that a problem was bigger than they knew they had, they end up becoming to like us. And the fact that we're showing accountability to the opposing side and to the courts and the attorneys that we're really holding child safety to the highest regard is really what ultimately shines light and comes full circle as what is important when we're doing this type of monitoring. The other side of it is we get a lot of folks that try to game or manipulate our device.
No,
And
no, no,
yeah, yeah. I
no.
just I fielded a call yesterday, which is Mother's Day in the U.S. And it's, people try to circumvent our system, and we're on generation 7 in 15 years, to give you an example. And it all has to do with tamper detection. So we not only ensure it's the person that's submitting the test, we make sure it's human breath sample temperature and breath flow. We have flow meters to make sure that it's human breath samples, not any outside air sources.
And with the facial recognition that it is of the desired target.
Absolutely. One of our largest spends is our facial recognition software company. We use a company called Cognitect. They're used in over 200 countries in over 2,000 international airports for anti-terrorism. And the goal is because our device gets deployed for multiple months and years, for example, people might be able to change their facial features or gain weight, lose weight, whatever it might be, and it's adaptive facial recognition. So it's constantly adapting to the most recently taken photographs instead of a still original master photograph.
Oh, interesting. Okay, well, we've been talking with Mike Fonseca of Soberlink. I'm going to go ahead and put their website on the screen one more time. Put the information here. Mike, if they have any questions, I assume that there's a place on the website where they can interact with your team.
Absolutely. We have a capability of chatting with any professionals. And the most important thing, too, is any professional has access to go to our website. And we have a family law professionals section where you could download white papers, you can download pre-monitoring documents, you can download sample orders, sample order verbiage to really help you customize a successful parenting agreement related to alcohol monitoring. So the goal is to be able to create agreements and orders for clients to have success. And again, we are an accountability tool. We're not a weaponization tool. The goal is to help people show accountability and also be great parents.
To save and to change lives.
Absolutely.
Okay, great.
Absolutely.
So this concludes our presentation on alcohol monitoring and consumption. I just want to actually just share one last thing for Gigi and I just to remind everybody of. So Gigi, we did put together a help sheet. Let's see, are you seeing my screen yet, Gigi? Not yet.
No, I'm not.
Okay, here, let me just share it real quick. There we go. So we did put together, as part of the Toolkit.law webinar, as part of all the help sheets, we included all the Soberlink material at the back end. But Gigi, can you briefly tell people what type of help sheet we put together here?
Yeah, absolutely. So, what we targeted was the blood alcohol concentration level in a person's bloodstream, for example. So, what we did is we divided this help sheet in four columns. That is, understanding basically what the blood alcohol concentration is, factors that affect the blood alcohol concentration levels. If you go down further down, the last two columns talk about methods of alcohol testing and legal and safety implications. So in this help sheet, we basically just discuss how factors, for example, that affect the levels of alcohol in the person's bloodstream, right? And then further down, we just talk about different testing methods. For example, there might be the breath testing method, blood testing, urine testing, saliva testing. And people who've already viewed our webinars and have seen previous few presentations, they might be aware of other new upcoming testing methods that are quicker, non-invasive, especially the saliva testing,
Right.
where yeah, and I think if we talk about one of the most reliable ones, saliva testing is coming out to be a reliable way of determining the alcohol levels in one's bloodstream. So alcohol testing, especially since we both practice family law, alcohol testing in family law cases is very, very important because it talks about a parent who might practice alcohol abuse and the implications of the same on the child or the family, and which can also give root to child welfare issues, domestic violence, etc.
Great. So that's the help sheet, and all of these Soberlink materials are at the back of that. So we'd like to thank you for watching this segment, and this concludes our presentation.